Listen to my podcast about sports.
Howdy, Ags. AP from the Tailgate, talking Aggie Football. Here with Corey. What's up, C-Money?
Just ready to do this again, man.
Episode today brought to you by Frida Homes. Building Aggie dreams. Visit them at fridahomes.com. Everybody loves their Frida home. Folks, don't forget to email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. Also can reach us with comments on the YouTube page, the YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. Love your guys' comments, and we'll continue to share them here on the show. Just let us know what you think. Aggie football news, Corey. We're going to start off here, obviously into the little bit of the offseason here. Aggie football news, first things first. After our last show, we were talking about who's going to be, sort of on the chopping block.
Oh.
Daryl Dickey.
We called that pretty quick.
Co-offensive coordinator.
That was a tough one.
Tight ends coach. Fired. Yeah, not a surprise there. First of all, the guy's got demoted before the year started. Right. Previously, he was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like Jimbo's, I guess, right-hand guy. Quarterback coach. He got moved out of that role into a co-offensive coordinator, moved out to tight ends. So the signs were already on the wall.
Oh, yeah, the writing was on the wall, and we knew he was gone. Somebody had to take the fall for that offense this year.
Yeah. Now, here's and this is sort of where everybody has gone to. It's like, okay, this means he's giving up play calling. He's going to hire an offensive coordinator. Well, he is going to hire somebody. He's going to hire somebody to take that spot for sure. The question is, what is the role for that person? Is it a role in the Daryl Dickey sort of mold, right? Where it's somebody that's an advisor to the play caller, Jimbo Fisher, the offensive coordinator, Jimbo Fisher?
Yeah.
Or is he actually going to give up that play calling duties and let somebody really establish their own offense here?
Somebody's going to have to tell Jimbo to give up the play calling. He's not just going to give up the play calling. I mean, after the LSU game, we execute. The plays have been there all year.
Yes, if you listen to the press conference, the post game, you know that dude right there believes in his system.
Exactly, he believes in his system. He's not going to give it up, and he wants another yes man. He wants somebody that he can tell, hey, this is our playbook. This is my playbook. This is what we're going to run. You just go sit wherever you need to sit when the game comes. And
the guys that he has on that offensive staff are already yes men to him, right? I mean, former quarterback that was played under him, right? The guy that they brought in from Georgia last year. I mean, he's one of those guys, right? Yeah, all these guys have been sort of yes men type hires,
right,
for Jimbo, guys that are going to basically agree with what he's doing offensively, that meet his offensive philosophy.
So when you say that, does it really matter who he brings in?
And look, you'll know what his intentions are based off who that person is, right? And they haven't hired anybody. They haven't announced anything yet. There's a lot of speculation out there that they already know who it's going to be. There's a lot of speculation that maybe he's going to be playing. He's playing somewhere this weekend. He's coaching somewhere this weekend, right? Reason why they haven't announced
this weekend. Like who are they thinking?
Right.
What are they thinking here?
So you got it's somebody in those championship games, and that there's different guys in there. But then again, it could just be somebody that they're not quite ready to announce on, right? Whether the guy has a bowl game and he wants some time to go through that process or whatever. I wouldn't think they wait until a bowl game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's going to be one of the big-time offensive coordinators, O'Reilly from TCU, for example.
I like it.
Then he's giving up play calling.
He's got to. You can't
because
bring
that
O'Reilly.
guy's not taking a job
right
without it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't bring in that guy and say, hey, just do what Jimbo tells you to do. You got to give him the reins. You got to say, hey, this is your offense. Jimbo,
same goes for Tennessee offensive coordinator, for example, under
Right.
Heupel, right? You want to bring in a guy of that caliber, you got to give him the offense.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's a guy I haven't thought of too much, but the North Carolina offense coordinator. I'm not sure what his name is off the top of the head, but
North Carolina OC.
That guy's been incredible this year. I mean, what he's done with Drake May, a freshman, that offense is supposed to take a step back after using the guy that went pro last year, Sam
How?
and they thought they were going to take a step back. They've done nothing. He's one of the front runners for the Heisman, probably the Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year.
What he's done with May as a freshman
It's
and that
amazing.
offense, I think, is very
Came
very
out of nowhere.
impressive.
We had
Very
no idea
impressive.
they were going to be this good.
And they did it with one of their best weapons downs at wide
Half the
receiver. Half the year was
Yeah.
out due to injury, right? I mean,
Right.
and so you sort of get that impression from him. I think he'd be a guy that'd be interesting. He once again, he ain't showing up in Aggie land unless he's calling plays.
But he knows how to get his best players the ball. He knows how to. He runs plays for Josh Downs. He's like, "You're my best receiver. We're going to make sure you get the ball." We don't do that at A&M. We just have everybody go run their routes and
Same thing at Tennessee, right? You get
Yeah.
guys like their best receiver goes down, and the next guy steps up, and all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
got 5 touchdown passes in the game.
and next thing
Okay,
you know, he's on the
catches.
radar for one of the top wide receivers in the nation.
Correct. And so, those guys do things to get those guys the ball in
Right.
space to make plays. TCU, you see the same thing, right? A guy that's now considered a first-round type draft pick at wide receiver. That guy that wasn't considered that coming into the season.
Right.
He's not a 5-star recruit that everybody knew coming in. Hey, look, this guy's going to dominate. Instead, they did a lot of things throughout the year to make sure that they were getting him the ball and giving him opportunities to go make plays.
What is your selling point right now? I know we talked about this. If you're recruiting either the transfer portal or high school, what is your recruiting point to come to A&M to be a wide receiver, quarterback? I mean, what are you telling them?
I have to think that the recruiting point should be, we're implementing this new offense. This guy's was the architect of this explosive offense over here. This is the type of thing that you have to look forward to.
What do you tell the players before that? You see what I'm saying? The guys that were here now.
The guys that are here now? I don't know he told them, hey, look, I'm Jimbo Fisher. I'm the quarterback guru. I've won a national championship. I'm going to get you to the NFL. And he's telling them those things without necessarily having the proof here at A&M to back it up. Right?
I haven't seen it. I mean,
He's probably also telling them, though, hey, look at the talent we have on this team. You're going to get to play with these guys, and that's going to give you a lot of opportunities to make plays one-on-one.
Yeah.
Right? Those are probably the conversations he's having. He's also probably telling them, hey, look, we run a pro-style offense. This is going to prepare you for the league. And those are the kind of
I
conversations.
hear that, but who has he put in the league?
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. Who has he put in the league, and who has gotten better since they've been here?
Right.
It means for Jimbo, like wide receivers.
Right.
How's gotten better? Tight ends, I guess you could say we've had a couple. I mean, I think
they all played out in the league, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he went down his junior year or whatever. He should have came back.
So I don't know what he said. Those are the conversations that they're having with these prior to this year, to these recruits, right? This year, what other conversations they're having are, look, we were young, but look at all these young guys we played. You're
Right.
going to get a chance to play too. Not only that, look at all these young guys that played and started to make plays. These guys are coming back.
Right.
We're going to be even more explosive next year. And then if you hire a good offense coordinator and turning over the thing, then you're showing them also, look, this is the type of offense that we're going to convert to. I think that would be my pitch. I don't think Jimbo's giving it up.
I don't think he is either. I agree with you. I mean, it's hard to take him. Teach that old dog new tricks. And another question I have for you: TCU, they have a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
We're talking about their offensive coordinator.
They may be in. Honestly, as long as they don't get blown out by Kansas State on Saturday,
Yeah.
even if they lose a close game, they could still be in.
And they played some close games this year. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
But they've won.
They've won.
They've won.
Period.
And that team, if you go through their roster, I had no idea TCU was going to be undefeated this time of year. Quarterback, no idea who that guy was starting the season. Running back, no idea. And that guy's good, by the way. That running back, he's very good. The wide receiver I heard of, he's good. But their defense has been, hit and miss. But at the same time, they do enough to win games.
Look, that defense played out of its mind against a team like Texas. For example.
Yeah.
Look, and you're right. And those recruits, by the way, are 3-star. Those guys that are playing, they're those 3-star recruits They've got some 4-star guys, but the majority of them are 3-star type talent that has developed over the last few years, especially this past year under this coaching staff that has now implemented a system that allows them to go and be playmakers.
And that coach has done it everywhere he's gone. Didn't he do this, where is it, SMU before this?
Correct.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing what he can do. I don't even know if it's a system. He just knows how to plug his players in and put them in the right situation to succeed, kind of like what North Carolina does.
Correct.
And that's not what we're doing here. We're trying to put players into a system that they're not comfortable in. I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Right. It's a difference between plugging players into a system versus plugging a system into players, right?
Exactly. It's like against LSU, we ran the ball 50 times. It's a strength.
Yeah.
Pass blocking is not a strength.
Correct.
And we ran it, and we won. I'm not saying it would have happened all season, but I'm just saying, why didn't we try that?
One of the things with regards to that, and it's an idea that Jimbo for a lot of the year was spreading these teams out. But the problem is that when we spread teams out, we're not pulling defenders from the box.
No, they're still
right. The defenses are still stacking the box and keeping guys in the box in order to defend against the run.
Right.
The safeties are focused on the run. So therefore, spreading us out doesn't really help us.
Because we're not doing any rub routes. We're not doing anything to...
We're not putting any pressure on that secondary.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Through all those things, whether it's rub routes, whether it's, it's formations, it's all those types of things. Schematically, we're not putting pressure on that secondary.
Like wide receiver screen, something that, if they're putting a bunch of guys in the box, let's throw a wide receiver screen, get some guys blocking.
Motions, everything else, right?
Yeah, stuff we talked about all season.
All season long. And so they can take their defense and they're going to focus it in on the running game no matter what formation you have in there. When you bring it in tight with the 2 tight ends, 2 back type sets, all of a sudden you have more people to block all those guys that are already going to be focused in on the run plays, right? So that gives you a chance. It gives you a chance. Does that mean that is it great the fact that our offense and our scheme and in the passing game specifically is that way, that doesn't threat? No, that's not ideal, right?
Right.
That's not ideal. That needs to change. However, without changing it, what you need to do is bring folks into the box and then go power, because that's the only way that you're going to match the numbers that the defense are putting.
Exactly. It's a numbers game, like you said. Yeah, I agree.
Going back to the offensive coordinator situation, you're hearing a lot of rumors out there, and some of I'm just going to throw out a name and see what you think. Chad Morris.
I'm kind of iffy on him. I'm not real excited, to be honest with you. Didn't he fizzle at Arkansas?
Yes, former Arkansas head coach, SMU head coach. He went after that. And
I liked him at SMU a lot.
Yeah.
I did like him at SMU a lot, but
Aggie
but he did the same thing at Arkansas that he tried to do at SMU, and he's doing it against SEC talent, and it's not working. He didn't have the players for his system.
Went to Auburn under Gus Malzahn afterwards as the offensive coordinator and did not do well there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he has to have the players for his system, and he's playing against a different talent when you go from SMU to that. And
to me, the only thing about Chad Morris that's even got him in this conversation is the fact that he's an Aggie. Yeah. The guy is not getting hired for this position. If he does, Jimbo should be fired directly afterwards.
Gotcha. Is Jimbo hiring this person?
Yes, this is Jimbo hiring. So Chad Morris, been rumored. Take him right off the list. He's not getting the job. No.
Okay.
All right. Joe Brady, former LSU offensive coordinator.
I've been saying his name for a while because I like what he did at LSU. We only got
the quarterback coach at Buffalo.
We only got to see him one season at LSU, right? Yeah. Was it one season? I mean, it was a great season. I don't know if I have a big sample enough size of him because I know what happened in the NFL. It didn't work out.
Correct.
But I still like him.
Let me tell you what I think.
Because, I can see Burrow and
he's going to
being close.
If he's only taking he's got one of those guys, he's only taking the job if he's calling plays, by the way. Guys, control the offense. 2, he does not like the college game. He wants to be in the pros. He doesn't want to be recruiting. He doesn't want to do those types of things. That's not his strength, right?
Right.
He wants to be the X's and O guys, the guy calling the plays. He wants to be, that's where he wants to focus his energy.
He wants to be up in the booth
and
calling the plays.
So he likes it in the NFL. I don't think he's coming here You know, and not
I don't
only
know if
that,
he likes being a quarterback's coach.
He's in the NFL with Buffalo. That's a good job as a quarterback's coach there. He will move from there to offensive coordinator in the NFL, I think, within another year.
So you're saying knowing him?
I'm saying he's going to say no to. He would say no to us even if we reached out to him.
I think he's a hard maybe. Go ahead. I think money would be the difference.
Tom Herman.
No.
No. The only connection there, by the way, is the fact that he's a Texas guy, Texas high school guy, and all this stuff. Tom Herman. No. Hard no. We don't want that guy. We don't like the guys. His character does not fit with what we're trying to figure out here. No to Tom Herman. Let's keep him as far away.
He's probably the one that they're going to hire. Since we said no.
Yeah. Josh Gaddis over at Miami, former Michigan OC, got all this pub after last year's run to the playoffs.
Not excited about him at all.
Michigan's offense gotten better this year, hasn't it?
Since he left, yeah.
He leaves, they get better.
What did Miami do this year?
Nothing.
Their top-rated quarterback has done nothing.
They're probably as bad an offense as there was in the country, other than the Aggies.
Yeah, I was gonna say them and the Aggies were right hand in hand.
Josh Gaddis, a big no.
Yeah, no.
You had another. The North Carolina
guy. I can't think of his name. Saved my life right now, but I'd like it.
You know, they should at least talk to the dude, right?
Exactly. Anybody that scored points this year, talk to him.
Tennessee.
The guy,
Riley at TCU. Another name being thrown out a lot. A lot of rumors about Riley at TCU.
I like that a lot. I mean, he's in Texas already. We could probably offer him a lot more, and money-wise, I mean, he's on the top right now. I might as well take it while I can get it. Because, I mean, no offense to TCU, right. I don't know how long they're going to stay up. They might stay at the top since Texas and Oklahoma are leaving.
Look, that guy right now, like you said, his
ceiling's real high. Yeah. I mean, he might want to take a payday right now.
Brother's doing what he's doing over at USC, right? The offense at TCU was absolutely unbelievable, right? Not only that, but like you said, at TCU, at some point you're probably going to take a little dip.
Yeah.
Don't beat Matt Campbell, right? That says no while you're hot, and then all of a sudden,
look at Matt Campbell. Who wants him now? Is his name even?
His name is not being floated out there.
No.
But a guy like this to me should be the top of our list. Yeah. Tell me how much you want to get paid. Let's put that out there. Let's hand you the offense. Let you control the whole thing. The other part about it is, he is playing this weekend, which may be the reason why they're holding off on the announcement. Those kinds of things.
North Carolina.
That would be a great result, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's the guy because I don't think Jimbo's handing the offense over.
Well, that's anybody then. I mean, who are you going to take? I mean, you have to hire somebody's offensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure Jimbo's been told that. You have to do this.
Jimbo, nobody can tell Jimbo anything.
They got to. They got to be able to. They can tell him you're gone.
They can tell him you're gone.
I mean, they act like charging the field costs what, $250,000.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's looking at a guy.
I think he's in the
on
NFL?
The Georgia coaching staff
because they run more of like a pro set.
Because I think he wants to stick to what he does, right? So. I don't think it's going to be Riley.
What's the guy's
I'd
name
love to have Riley.
Alabama?
I don't think it's
What's the
going to
guy's name in Alabama, the offensive coordinator?
O'Brien.
Not him.
Yeah, not him. Let's not do that. No. He's taken Alabama's offense from one of the most explosive in the country to one of the less explosive in the country.
I'm trying to think of who was creative in offense this year, besides the ones we mentioned, that we got excited to watch. Like, this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through and there's another. We've talked about. We've talked about Western Kentucky on many occasions, right?
Yeah.
And they had a new offense coordinator this year. They were still pretty darn explosive and fun to watch, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of guys I think that fit.
And you
that
said
bill.
the key word there, fun to watch.
Yeah.
Is the Aggie games, were they fun to watch? Not just because they were losing, but they weren't even attempting to move the ball.
Right.
They weren't doing anything creative. You're just like, we saw this last week. We saw it again.
What was fun to watch this past week was Moose making incredible plays, right?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, we saw something different. We saw 50 running plays.
But those are players making incredible plays. It's not schemes opening things up and making things exciting, right?
No. I mean, if Moose wouldn't have made an incredible catch, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. All right. So, let's sort of close the loop here. I think we agree on the fact that if we had our choice, we'd probably HM making an incredible play. We'd probably take TCU's Riley as our offensive coordinator.
Or whatever the guy's name is from North Carolina. I have to look it up one day.
However, I think we both think that it's going to be somebody else. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, because like you said, I don't think Jimbo wants to give up the play calling, and I don't know how you put that into a contract because.
Still no news on Adazio, by the way. Still no news on Adazio. There was some rumors that he may be leaving for another position somewhere else.
Yeah.
That hasn't come to fruition anywhere. We'll see what happens over the next week or so with him. I am surprised that he obviously Jimbo didn't fire him.
Yeah.
Right? So he's still here.
I
wouldn't be surprised if Jimbo just promoted him to offensive coordinator and gave somebody else a tight end job or something.
No, I think Jimbo's going to be forced. Not forced. I think the people will be really Jimbo. I think you really need to get rid of some of these guys.
Sure. So that's sort of where that's at right now. Elijah Robinson, there was rumors about him going to Nebraska. What guy we don't want to go?
Yeah, I want to keep him.
Yeah, I'd name him defensive coordinator. By the way, I'd give him the title.
It's assistant head coach if you have to.
Yeah, and but he turns down Nebraska.
Coach. Let's say co-head coach.
He turns down Nebraska. Matt Rule and him work together at Baylor, so they've got some history there. So he's coming back. Outside of the coaching ranks, still to see defensively on that side of the staff what happens. I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes unless people like Elijah leave voluntarily.
Right.
I think he's going to run it back with that group.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about the linebackers coach. You know how I feel about
your favorite,
our defensive coordinator. So the two co-defensive coordinators. But I don't think that's changing.
Yeah,
that's not changing.
First year, right? Yeah, he can't.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll get rid of him.
Player-wise, Bakili Jackson announced he's coming back.
Huge.
I thought he'd come back because he didn't play enough this year to really. I thought we've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
When he came back, he made all the difference in the world for this defense.
And nobody, Texags, they talk about him good, but not like you and I talk about him. Like he's a difference maker. Like
he's a difference maker.
I mean, almost every play he's doing something that's.
He led this defense in tackles for a game one week.
Defensive tackle.
At the defensive tackle spot, he led the defense in tackles for an entire game this week.
But you consistently see him 10, 15 yards downfield making a play where he wasn't in. I mean, he could have been just giving up. I've seen plenty of defensive linemen in the past. They're a yard or two past me. I'm good.
Right. This guy's not only is he a top-end type athlete, he's also a full-go motor guy.
But if you look at him, you don't look at him, you go, that's a top-end athlete.
Right.
I mean, you look at a Walter Nolan, you see a big guy. You look at McKinley, you're like, that guy looks like a bowling ball. That bowling ball, he gets after you. I'm telling you, he takes on two blockers, causes havoc. It's impressive.
It is. I'm a huge fan of the guy, and I'm glad he's an Aggie, and I'm glad he's coming back next year. I think it gives our defense a chance from the beginning to be dominant, game in, game out.
Yep.
Because of him.
I agree.
A couple of guys we know are going in the transfer world. We've talked about some of these guys, but Chase Lane adds his name into the list. Look, he's graduating. He's going to be a graduate transfer with 2 years of eligibility, by the way. And so he can go anywhere he wants to. He can do whatever he wants. The dude is a stellar team guy. I love Chase Lane. Yeah. I love his leadership. I love what he does. He's academics, hard work, all those things. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes somewhere else and finds a spot where he can start and play.
You talking about like a major D1 school?
What do you consider major?
Are you talking like a Western Kentucky? Or are you
I'm talking about
Texas
even
State?
I'm talking about even in a situation where he goes to a Power 5 school. I think his work ethic and those kinds of things can be a cog in a good system.
Well, there's something Jimbo liked about him. We didn't see it on the field so much in stats, but Jimbo loved him because Jimbo put him in all the time. I mean, even if he dropped some passes, but evidently he was a good blocker, good teammate, like you said.
All his intangibles point to a guy that could contribute, I think.
Yeah, I never saw him contribute to this. That's my issue. I never saw him.
Well, but it's also in this offense.
Yeah.
I wish him the best, though.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
I wish all those guys the best.
I do. I wish all these guys. Caden Davis, the kickers, is moving on. He's going to, he got overtaken by the freshman this year, Bond. So he's, look, that dude's got a leg.
Well, we watched him at the practice this year. We're like, our kicking game should be good, and it wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be.
He benched him pretty quick, maybe a little too quick. But that dude right there has got a monster leg.
Yep.
If he finds himself in a place that and he will.
Oh yeah, kickers.
He could end up in the NFL. By the way, he's got that kind of leg. Elijah Judy, we've talked about defensive end guy that's going to be a big time ball player. I think somewhere else. I think he's going to find reps and be a productive player.
And we've seen this over and over, years after year. Players that transfer from A&M, they go to other schools, and you're like, hey, there's so and so. There goes so and so. He was an Aggie, and he's having a good career. I mean, be it UCF.
Tyree over at Texas Tech is going to be a first round pick.
Here you go.
So sort of shows you that. L.J. Johnson, the tailback. We think. I don't know that he was ever going to be the 5-star kid that everybody had him rated as coming into high school. I mean, from what I saw from him in practice, I don't know that he was ever going to be that guy. But this is going to be he's a good running back, and he's going to find.
What year was he?
So this was his second year on campus this year.
Okay, right. So yeah, he'll be at Ole Miss or something.
Ish Harris, the linebacker we talked about in the past one. I mean, he's going to find himself a home. He's another pretty good athlete that can make some plays. He's a smaller guy, so he'll fit into a lot of these systems that love to implement that kind of stuff. Donnell Harris at the defensive end. I think if he's healthy, I've always thought he's a great, impressive athlete at defensive end.
Was he the one that had a medical?
Yeah. So if he's healthy, I think he's a game changer. He's one of those guys that could potentially go somewhere else and end up a first-round draft pick.
I think you were talking about him and Diggs being pretty good, but they never. Diggs, showed up but got hurt again.
So a couple of things there. The transfer portal doesn't actually open until this coming Monday, so we'll see sort of what happens over the next few days and into next week.
I can't wait.
We'll talk more about that as that all actually goes down.
Get some clarity.
It's hopeful. We're hopeful. There's a lot of guys. Social media saying posting things that makes you think they're staying. That gives you at least hope.
Like Evan Stewart said something like, they're all excited about him coming back. So
right.
We don't know. We don't know about the quarterback situation.
But and let's be honest, even Evan Stewart's post isn't I'll be back to A&M next year, right? It's kind of just things that make people think.
Moose coming back. Is the sleeve thing a big deal? Everybody keeps talking about it. We're talking about it. Everybody talks about it.
I think two things are big deal. One is the sleeve thing. Two is why am I on the bench at the beginning of the year? Two things.
I don't get it.
So there's a lot of guys in those conversations. We're talking about receivers.
Jake Johnson,
at tight end. What's going to happen with his brother at quarterback, right? Is he going to try to go somewhere and get some time? Because if that's the case, then is there a chance that he follows suit, right? And anybody would take that guy. We saw him against LSU. He played pretty well. They didn't give him a whole lot of opportunities in the passing game, but he's already a decent blocker as a freshman. He's just going to continue to get better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good athlete.
I got it.
Guys on the defensive line, we've talked about. There's going to be guys that leave because there are just too many of them, right?
There's too many. Yeah, there's just too many. You want to keep the best ones, but of course, who do you want? You don't want to lose any of them. It's the same thing. They've got to go.
You say the same thing about the secondary, too.
No, I don't know. I think the secondary is going to play itself out. I think a couple of guys have already. Who'd you say? Ish Harris is already gone.
Well, he's linebacker. Denver Harris is going to go.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, but the ones you want to keep Bryce Anderson for sure.
Look, that's number one. And he had a post the other day that made it sound like he's coming back.
Because you're losing Damani and you're losing AJ pretty much. Antonio's pretty much. Yeah, he's got to be gone, right?
Yeah, I think Antonio's gone. He's going to be supposedly the first safety off the board. I don't think he comes back.
You got Jones, maybe. We don't know what he's doing. He's a junior, right?
Yeah, I think there's other pieces that could.
But you got Chappelle. Want Chappelle to stay.
Anderson is a guy that can walk right into AJ's shoes, right?
I don't know about walk right into him, but he could fill him. He could fill him all right.
I think so. I think I was impressed.
Anderson, that's putting a lot on.
I know that's putting a lot. I was impressed with the way he played. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He may not be there, at the beginning of next year.
Yeah.
But I think, AJ's in his third year, right? Mm-hmm. I think over the year, if he's getting the playing time, if he's on the field, by the end of next year, you're thinking, man, this dude's a player.
So you're saying, okay, Antonio Jones, is that a big loss next year or not? Because we have Bryce Anderson. It is a big loss.
Still a big loss.
Even if we have Bryce Anderson. Is Damani a big loss?
Think about it, the opportunity to have him and Anderson on the same field, right?
Well, we had that opportunity this year, just didn't.
Yeah, but Anderson is a second-year guy.
Is Damani a bigger loss, or do we have Are his shoes easier to fill?
I think Dabani's easier to fill. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the questions to the tailgate.
All right.
So let's go just in a recap sense, okay? So, a lot of things that are going on right now. Obviously, like we said, there's going to be continued developments on all this. We'll continue to add some more information next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look back at what happened in 2022. Look, obviously the season was a disappointment. There's no question nobody is happy with the season that happened in 2022 for Texas A&M football. Right. Nobody. There's not one player, there's not one coach, there's not one fan that is happy. Well, maybe a couple of fans because on Facebook they all post how great Jimbo is. Not one person is happy about how this turned out for A&M in 23.
Nobody saw us losing 5 games this year, did they?
No, 5-7 was never even in consideration, right?
No.
So it's a little harder to start talking about who the MVPs and all that stuff are, but we're still going to do it. We're going to try to get this done. Let's start offensively.
All right.
Who was the MVP for this offense? I don't think it's that hard.
It's A-Chain.
A-Chain.
I mean, is there I'm trying to think who's a close second. Maybe Moose. Evan Stewart.
Somewhere further down the line.
It's a shame Anias got hurt. He could have been up
Think
there.
about meaningful plays, right?
Yeah.
Like things that you recall throughout the season, meaningful plays. Who made them?
Moose.
All when games that we won, which aren't many,
right?
Moose made plays, right?
Right.
That dude to me, I know A-Chain is the MVP for this offense. I know that.
Right.
I know that. But I'm going to make the argument for Moose.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that I think that dude, when he was given the opportunity to make plays and did, we won.
I just understand why he wasn't given the opportunity. We were asking that after the first game, second game. We're like, why isn't Moose on the field?
And there's your question. Why wasn't he given the opportunity more often before the LSU game, right? Which the dude just made phenomenal catch after phenomenal catch.
We said that about a lot of positions. Connor, why wasn't he on the field before this,
Yeah, and freshman quarterback and yada, yada, I understand. But
I'm just saying.
Look, is Connor on your list of offensive MVPs?
No. I mean, I don't think he played bad as a true freshman.
He had one game where he threw for over 300 yards, right?
But behind that line, who's going to throw for 300 yards behind that line? Throwing the ball like they did.
Well, maybe if they've got a...
You got to be set up for success.
If they got a system that helps them, they could.
set up for success.
If they have a system that helps them, they probably could.
Yeah.
If they were coached by Tennessee, they had 300 yards passing every game.
Yeah, I agree.
But take it out of that. Was he in the conversation for MVP?
No.
I don't think so. And look, I'm excited about Connor. I'm looking forward to year 2 of Connor.
Was he our top freshman?
No. Not even close.
Evan Stewart?
I mean, you got so many guys that are in the conversation ahead of Connor to me that,
I'm thinking true freshman, not redshirt. I'm talking true freshman.
True freshman. I mean, you want to talk about Evan
Stewart. I think he had a good season.
Who played
I think Green had a good season.
Green. Right? I mean, on defense, offense, if you want to Dewberry,
once he came in, once he got in.
But on defense, you're still talking Nolan. You're still talking.
What year's Anderson?
Anderson, true freshman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot of guys. Martrell Harris, who started making plays at the end of the year. So
the other Stewart on defense, was he a freshman?
Just because,
Shamar.
So just because he's the
we
quarterback,
had a lot of true freshmen play this year.
Tons.
A lot.
Just because he's the quarterback, he's getting that pub.
Right.
Offensively, is he the freshman of the year?
Who?
Offensive freshman player of the year.
Evan Stewart?
Yeah. No, Connor. No, it's Evan, right?
Evan or Green. Green was pretty good there.
Green was pretty good, and especially because you take what he added as a blocker and those kinds of things. Especially,
he played huge, especially when Max went down.
Yeah,
he stepped up.
So offensive MVP, we think it's A-Chain. I'm giving a little push for Moose. For Moose.
I don't know how you
freshman.
Think.
Yeah, no. Offensive freshman of the year. We're saying we think it's Stewart or Green.
I'm leaning more towards Green the more I think about it, especially this game right here. He had big plays. He blocked well. I mean, we were sitting here watching this game a while ago, and He blocks pretty well. He's blocking a lot better.
No issues either.
No.
Stewart had a suspension.
Yeah.
Small thing.
I mean, I'm still.
I'd probably say Stewart.
Yeah, I'd probably still say Stewart.
The guy was consistently on the field all year long. Dynamic. He made. He's once again limited by this offense, but he's going to
another player that Jimbo should think about running plays for. I mean, he's the guy from Carolina, the receiver.
Downs.
I see a lot of Stewart and Downs being the same player. Not real big, that they're quick, lightning quick, and get open. Quick. I mean, we saw Stewart get open in practice. We're like, got to get the guy the ball. They couldn't. Why can't we get him the ball?
So absolutely, and for those reasons, and all those reasons, not only the talent level, but the fact that he did make some big plays. Throughout the year in this offense, that didn't make very many big plays, right? So I like him as the pick there. How about offensive lineman of the year? That's a hard
question.
That's a hard one to answer, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't Father. No.
Look, Fathery, I think, took a step back. You go watch him play. The guy's technique has gone downhill this year. He's staying straight up. His feet are together. While he doesn't whiff on blocks, he misses on blocks.
I would say Zune maybe at left tackle or Dewberry when Dewberry came in, I thought he
stabilized.
Yeah, I mean he did fine, but like I was telling
you, that's more about the fact that the left guard position was so bad before he stepped in that.
And like I told you, I was like, man, he sure does end up on his face a lot. I don't know why that is, but
leaning.
Yeah, I guess.
Zune I think is probably the answer for me.
And what year is he?
He's a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman.
Okay.
I thought coming in and taking over that spot.
Good, but he seemed like that first step seems to get him.
Yeah, he can plant his feet in the ground a little bit and gets him in trouble. I've got a lot of folks that are going to disagree with me on this one, but Wyckoff is a guy that I think deserves a lot of credit here too.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
I can disagree with you. But go ahead. No, you're right.
A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but Wyckoff was in a tough position, battling it out with Foster and the injuries and in and out of the lineup, and he never, ever complained about anything going on. And he played better than people give him credit for.
Now, if Foster was healthy, is that offensive line better, or is it the same?
The same. When he was healthy, it was the same.
But, I mean, he never got a real chance to get going because I don't think he was ever really healthy.
What I know is when he played, it didn't make the offensive line any better.
You're right. And
also, that goes back to last year.
This is probably another question for another time, but if all that offensive line comes back next year, who's our starting five? If everybody,
Robinson, including Robinson, I think it's the same five. I think it's the same five. That
Foster at center or Wyckoff? You put Dewberry left guard, or you put Aki in there?
No, it's Dewberry.
Aki got hurt, right?
Dewberry. I think it's Dewberry. I think Aki struggled when he was in there. He got benched for Moko. Moko maybe is the guy that takes over. I don't know, but that would be the competition.
They've got to get
Dewberry
better.
and Moko.
If you have the same group coming back, they've got to get better.
They got to get better.
I mean, you can't get any worse than what you were this year.
And then the question is Foster healthy again? If he is, he's probably the starter. And if not, you run with Wyckoff again. So
because we have the possibility to have the same offensive line return.
Correct.
Now, say Robinson leaves, who takes the right guard spot?
Then that's where Moko and probably Dewberry are probably your two starting guards, right?
I don't know. Aki, is he that bad?
Yes.
That was so quick.
He's played that bad. How about that? All right, so we've talked offensively, sort of where those things are. Surprise offensive player, a guy that came out and, at the beginning of the year, we really didn't expect much from him.
Max Wright.
Dude, I like that answer.
Max Wright, real quick. I didn't expect anything out of him. What he showed me with his hands, and, I mean, we knew he could block, but he caught some passes. I was like, damn, Max Wright got downfield.
I like that answer a lot.
I mean, that's a surprise. I'm saying Noah Thomas a little bit is a surprise. I thought he did all right in limited action. The surprise is Preston didn't get on field. That's a big surprise to me.
So I'm
surprised about players that didn't get on the field. I'm really surprised about that.
So I'm talking sort of in the positive sense. Guys that surprised in the positive sense, and I agree with you. Max Wright is a great pick on that. You could throw Zune into the mix, right? Because I don't know that we expected as much as he gave us, and all the issues with the offensive line, probably question that. How about crown over at fullback, man.
He did all right in limited time. Yeah.
Limited time. The few times that they used the 2-back sets, I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah.
So a couple of guys there that.
Yeah, I even think Daniels and Moss on their limited time, what they showed us.
I like Daniels, but I expected. I can't have Daniels in that picture because I expected more out of him. I expected him to be on the field more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what the surprise thing is.
Right. So underperformers for this offense.
I told you before, it's Jimbo.
100%.
Yeah, it's the play calling, Jimbo not putting these guys in situations.
You can name any of the quarterbacks.
And I don't think that they underperform just because they don't have a chance to perform. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they put them in bad situations.
Yeah.
You're in a bad situation the whole game. You're having terrible play calling.
Correct.
You can't.
It's hard to put it on the players, right?
Yeah.
It's harder to put it on the players. If I'm going to choose a player, I'm going to tell you the guy that I think I expected a lot from this year and didn't get that is Father.
Just analogies for some people out there. If you play basketball, right?
Right.
And you're Mark. You ever heard of Mark Price? He's a great shooter, played for Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
You don't post Mark Price up inside the whole time. Or let's say you have Akeem Olajuwon. You don't put him on the 3-point line and expect him to be successful because that's the same thing we did at A&M with our quarterback. We're like, hey, we're going to drop you back 50 times and throw the ball against the offensive line that can't block in the play schemes, aren't getting the receivers open in time. You're going to get killed. We lost all 3 of our quarterbacks, or 2 of them got hurt. Connor went out sick that one game, but I mean,
and he took a beating in multiple games.
And that's what I'm saying. You got to think about that. You got to put these guys' health into consideration when you're calling these plays, saying our offensive line's not blocking very well. But you know what? Hey, let's do it again.
Look, obviously the numbers for Haynes King were disappointing. You could throw him in there, and people will because they want to blame this on Haynes and not on Jimbo. Yeah. So people will do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I thought Haynes was stuck in a bad situation, like what you're talking about. I think all 3 of them were.
Yeah.
Receiver-wise, obviously losing Marshall and what he did, that's a disappointment. But, when he was on the field, he's got talent. He was all right. He's got talent. There's some things there. He probably shouldn't have been on the field as much as he was. I thought Preston should have been on the field more. I thought Moose should have been on the field at the beginning of the year.
You have Anias, Moose, Evan Stewart. Those guys are going to get open.
Look, if you'd have had the beginning of the season should have been Preston, Moose, Anias.
Well,
as your starter with Stewart in there.
You even said you can't keep Stewart off the field. You said that in our first episode. I still agree with that because you saw him at practice at Corey.
But we played a lot of 4 wide receiver sets, and those should have been the 4.
But we shouldn't have done 4. That's what I'm talking about.
You're right. We shouldn't. But
you shouldn't.
My point is that those 4 guys should have been in the rotation from the beginning. It shouldn't have taken
until the 12th game of the season to realize, you know what, this isn't working.
Point is.
Yeah.
Preston should have been in the mix.
Preston, he didn't get in the
mix. Not Marshall, not Thomas, not,
I agree. I mean, I like giving some of those guys a chance, but it's got to be percentages. How many snaps is that guy going to get?
A few snaps here, a few snaps there.
10 plays a game or something, 20 plays a game.
That's my opinion.
Let's work him in.
All right, so like I said, my underperformer, I think if I'm giving it to a player, giving it to a coach, it could be Jimbo, it could be Adazio. If I'm giving it to a player, it's Father. It's Father, a guy that I thought last year showed incredible talent and ability to play where he was at that right tackle spot. He did a good job against Alabama's 31 Anderson. Yeah. Right? I mean, he made plays. He looked good last year. And then all of a sudden this year, he really took a step back. His technique took a step back. He's tall. He's leaning. His feet are together. Yeah.
Continues to get.
I thought that guy was going to start to become a name for people to see as a draft pick after next year.
And Robinson, I feel the same way with him. I thought he looked awful.
Robinson's another.
They don't communicate. They cannot talk to each other in the offensive line about who's got who. I mean, it looked better when Dewberry was out there, but it was awful.
So, yeah, both of those guys underperformed. All right, so let's move over and switch over to the defensive side. Defensive MVP for you. This is a lot harder question.
I've been saying it all year, McKinley. I love it. AJ's probably the most talented guy on the defense. Probably in the word, but I mean, he's right. He's there.
Look, I would give it to McKinley. I would give it to McKinley, except he missed half the year, right?
Yeah, but when he missed, he's such a difference maker.
He is such a difference maker. I think Antonio Johnson is obviously the easy pick. I'm
But
gonna bring in Chappelle. I'm gonna bring in Chappelle.
He missed some games.
And they asked him to do all kinds of different things: line up in the slot, line up on the outside, cover deep, play the run. All the different things. I love the way he plays, and I think the dude is so underrated and underappreciated on this defense.
I know you hate this, but I'm going to ask you a question you probably don't know the answer to. Is there any defensive player that played in every game this year? I can think of maybe one. Maybe two. Did Gilbert play every game?
I think Gilbert did play every game.
Did Damani play every game?
I think Damani played every game.
Because I know that White and Cooper, AJ, Chappelle, Jones,
I think Damani played every game.
Nolan was out.
Now, he was kicked out of one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for injuries.
But he started every game.
But I mean, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, we can name it maybe two defensive players that
How about
played.
Rakes?
Maybe Rakes. That's a good
Played
one.
a lot of them.
But I'm talking like players that we counted on. I mean, Rakes, I guess we did count on, but I'm talking about players you really can't afford to lose.
Russell, I think, might have played every game.
That's a shame.
All right, so defensive MVP, there's some guys in there. Jalen Jones, maybe?
I like Jalen.
I don't think so.
I don't think he is.
Look, I think the
hype is there. There's a lot of hype. Always been there. I think it was the year before last or last year we were all, Jalen Jones, man, best.
What did I say before the season what I wanted to do with Jalen Jones?
Cut him?
No,
that was Miles Jones.
I wanted to move him to safety. I think Jalen would make a great safety.
They keep talking on text as that he's our best cover corner that we
No,
got.
he's not.
I'm telling you, that's what they say on text.
They're wrong.
They say they won't throw to his side. That's why we don't hear much about him because nobody ever says
I've seen him throw to his side and complete him for touchdowns.
I'm telling you, that's what they say.
I mean, the guy that he's covering is open all the time. As a matter of fact, the very first play by LSU was a throw to his side. The guy was open. He just dropped it.
Watching this defense against LSU right now, I mean, you look at the players that are on the field. You got Gilbert, AJ.
All right.
You got players that are that gets you excited because you see Cooper.
Yeah.
You got guys that wasn't there all season because they weren't all healthy. But at the same time, it's what could have been. You have Turner,
Let me go back to this because Jalen Jones is a big cog in this whole thing. I think he should be a safety. I think he'd make a great safety.
I don't know if he's big. Is he big enough? I know he's tall enough.
Yeah,
but
he's definitely big enough.
He's not AJ.
He's almost AJ size. He's basically close to the same size. And here's the thing to me, and this is where Texags doesn't know squat about actual football, right?
There you go.
All they do is sit there and sort of like take hype. That's their whole thing, hype.
Yeah.
Right? But they can't actually watch anything and identify characteristics of a player that is actually any good. But you go look and watch who broke up a ton of passes on this defense.
Chappelle. Who was continuously in the backfield on sweep plays. Chappelle. Always.
And look, I like Jalen Jones, and he's a good player, but he's not at that level, and he's definitely not our best cover guy.
Yeah.
All right, so defensive MVP, we've sort of gone through that. Surprise defensive player. Guy you didn't expect a lot from, ended up delivering a pretty good year.
Bryce Anderson.
Bryce Anderson's good. You know, you laughed at the Russell thing, but Russell had some big key plays throughout the year.
I mean, I guess he
played a lot more than we thought.
Exactly. He grew on me. The first couple games I watched him, he seemed like he was out of position. The running game, I mean, I think the defensive scheme, again, just like the offense, put these guys in bad situations, especially at linebacker.
Yeah.
Running a three-man line, teams were running all over us. The linebackers continuously out of position, it seemed like. They weren't reading very well. They don't read the play. I don't know if their eyes were watching one thing and the ball.
Gilbert. I thought Gilbert was better than we probably anticipated. I thought he played pretty well. Another guy that I'm going to throw into the mix, Regis. You know, going into the season, I don't think we expected much of him, and he had some plays.
He had a couple plays.
Like, I mean, he wasn't plays, like
the block, the field goal block, and he had some passes back. He's a big guy.
He wasn't a superstar by any means, but I'm just saying, surprised us played better than we expected.
Yeah, I mean,
we got more out of him than we expected.
Yeah. That's hard to say about this team.
How about underperformer on the defensive side?
Everybody says he had a good season. I thought Walter Nolan was kind of let down. I expected more. I expected him to be more of a force. Like him and McKinley Jackson together, I think they should have pushed offensive lines back. But they get set up in bad situations. Yeah. Three-man lines. I thought Shamar Turner I thought he did pretty well, but they put him on the defensive end a lot. I thought he was more of a DT.
I thought he played better inside than outside, by the way. I thought he started to disappear from this defense when they stuck him at defensive end.
But disappointing? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, it's just,
White. I was disappointed with White. I expected a lot.
We didn't get as much out of Cooper as I thought we did.
Well, he wasn't on the damn field for some reason. I don't understand that. I mean, one game where you and I were like, Cooper's out there. We thought he was hurt, but he just didn't. They had him for like 5
When
plays.
he was on the field, he might have been our best cover guy.
Difference maker the last 3 or 4 games of the season. I mean, the guy makes plays.
Use his strengths.
He might be one of our best tackles.
If it were me, he'd be a man-to-man cover guy on tight ends and backs.
Yeah.
And I'd blitz the mess out of him.
And I would not. I don't think he was an underperformer, Overton or whatever.
Overton, yeah.
I don't think he would be an underperformer, but they played him out of position.
A lot of
Why?
Sort of as an inside linebacker type looking guy.
Yeah, it's
right?
like a hybrid defensive end that you want to drop into coverage.
Really awkward situation to put him in.
And the one thing we said before the season: do not overthink this, and that's what he.
I'm going to give you one more.
He overthought this defense.
Yes.
It drives me nuts.
Plenty of talent. I'm going to give you one more. Damani Richardson. I expected Damani to have one of the biggest years.
He had some of the biggest plays.
He did have some of the biggest plays.
But were they Damani Richardson plays, or was it somebody else making the plays and Damani happened to be the benefactor of it?
Damani was lost in coverage a lot.
Because you got to remember, the first touchdown he scored was a pitch back to him, right?
It was.
Somebody else, who was it? Chappelle?
Chappelle.
And then the second one was a sack by...
Was it Nolan?
It was here in this game, I don't know. And they ran it back. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Damani was just he happened to be in the right place at the right time. Yeah.
He was the beneficiary of some of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I said it earlier. I mean, Damani, I don't know if it's going to be
lost in coverage consistently.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of us. Tight ends. How are tight ends open all the time?
All the time. So, I mean, obviously we could name a lot of guys. I was impressed with Fidel Diggs. I thought when him getting hurt us later in
What's
the year.
What's the other guy, Adalie?
Right, Adalie, who started the season off as the start, and probably was the guy that forced Shamar Turner out to defensive end, right?
Yeah.
So if that guy's healthy or if Diggs is healthy, maybe Turner stays inside, helps us out there. So there's a lot of things that are going on there. I thought both of those guys played well enough throughout the season. The linebacker group took a step back again this year. It's just ridiculous.
The defensive calling was awful. It's the same thing. I mean, it just sucks when you sit there and see a 3-man front over and over and teams running the ball.
So I was watching this game. I was watching this game right here very closely, and we're sitting in there, and LSU would come in, and they have a tight end and a tailback in the formation. They take that tight end and they'll put him out at 4 wide, and all of a sudden you're looking at a defense that's got 4 down linemen and 1 linebacker. That second linebacker is now removed out with that tight end. You're asking those 5 guys to play against 5 the quarterback, because they also have the running quarterback, by the way, right?
Oh yeah.
The safeties are the guys that end up being the overlap players here, but they're playing from 10 to 15 yards, right?
Right.
And they're slowing to react, and they're not constantly correct with the gaps.
They have to be a little bit slow to react because you have to be able to read the play before you understand what to do.
So my point is, you're setting that defense up, and then you're doing what you're trying to contain the run with the twists that you're using up front.
Right.
But those guys end up out of position, like an overlapping Overton trying to come in and playing. He's not used to that, right?
No.
He ends up out of position in the wrong gap. And then it also affects the one linebacker inside Cooper. He's affected because now this guy's coming here. Now he sort of ends up over pursuing.
And that's what our defense did. We reacted to stuff instead of dictating. We didn't get in there and make our defensive coaches didn't allow them to dictate what the game was going to do. They allowed the offenses to dictate how we're going to play.
Correct.
And that's what's wrong. We don't need to be in the same thing on offense, pretty much.
All right. So look, and we all know we underperformed this year. But there is a lot of positives. There's a lot of positives. A lot of young guys. Let's see where that goes. We're going to talk a little bit more about what to expect from some of these guys as we go on. We figure out who's staying and all those types of things. Let's move on. Let's go to championship weekend in college football.
Ready.
Who do the Aggies play? Just kidding. All right, so championship weekend. Obviously, the Aggies ain't involved. All right.
Yeah.
Friday, let's go here. Conference USA. Let's start it up with Conference USA.
Yeah.
North Texas, UTSA. UTSA's -8.5, 69 over under. North Texas lost to UTSA already, 31-27.
I like UTSA. The offense has been explosive all year.
You gonna take them minus the points?
I'll tease it down.
Yeah, I like that. I like UTSA. I think UTSA's gotten better as the years gone on. They're gonna. I think.
I like that coaching staff. I like everything about them. Bunch of Texas kids.
Pac-12. This is a big one. This is a big one with implications into the national championship, the championship playoffs, right? Pac-12, Utah, USC. USC's -2.5, 67.5 over under. Utah beat USC earlier in the year, 43-42, a game that they hit a 2-point conversion to take the lead.
Screaming over.
Rising, the quarterback for Utah absolutely went berserk in that game for over 400 yards. I see USC taking this. What do you think?
I'm leaning the other way. I'm going Utah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I read about the Bear. The Bear likes Utah. I like Utah.
All right. We got a good bet there then.
I like the over, by the way.
Take USC, by the way.
Yeah. Listen to him.
And the over.
Yeah,
Agree.
the over, yeah.
Look, I don't think Cam Rising is duplicating what he did earlier in the year against this group. I think that USC offense has got their weapons back. You know, Addison, I think, has missed some time, and they've got certain things. The quarterback's gotten more and more comfortable there. I think USC is probably...
Is USC one of the top 4 teams in the nation right now? Right now. I mean, would you say they could be...
I think they're in the conversation, yeah.
If they were in the SEC, would they be one of the top 4 teams in the SEC?
I think they're in the conversation, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's the Pac-12. Going into Saturday's game.
Go.
Big 12. Kane State, TCU. TCU's -2.5, 62 over under. TCU won 38-28 in the regular season.
Man, I really like TCU, but this Kansas State team surprises me every week.
Yeah.
Different quarterbacks. They run the ball.
In that first game, by the way,
Yeah.
Martinez started, got hurt early. The backup came in, scored a bunch of poinst in the first half.
Is the starter now.
Who's now the starter, but scored. They still were shut out in the second half.
I'm almost leaning K-State.
TCU.
Okay.
Look, TCU has now been through this. They've taken on all challengers at this point. They have played some tight games for sure, but come out on top. This past week, they absolutely rocked.
I mean, but
you know,
you look at the Big 12 and you think, I mean, who's really that good? Is Oklahoma any good? They weren't as good as we thought they were going to be this year. Texas Tech, Iowa State.
Their quarterback got injured at the beginning of the year.
Iowa State, West Virginia.
Right.
Now Texas. You know what I'm saying? What is Texas? We don't know what they are.
Yeah, but this game, right?
Oklahoma State. I'm just trying to. I'm just saying, who does TCU really beaten that's good? Yeah, I mean Kansas State. Yeah, I think I like K-State.
Right.
Give me K-State.
You take K-State. I'm taking TCU.
There you go. That's what bookies love.
Mac. Toledo versus Ohio. You got anything on this? Ohio's +1.5.
Fuck no. I'm sure you do.
You got to go Toledo, man.
You gotta.
All right, yeah,
There it is.
Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina and Troy. Troy's -8.5. Coastal Carolina lost their quarterback.
Yeah, give me Troy.
He said, give me Troy. All right, SEC, and here's the big one, right? SEC, LSU, Georgia, meeting the SEC championship. LSU just lost to Texas A&M pretty handily. Georgia's -17.5. 51's the over/under. Where are you going?
That's a lot of points.
Yeah?
But I still like Georgia.
Yeah. It's like, give me a couple more points. I'll take a -20.
I think they might be up by that at halftime.
Yeah.
After what I saw last week, I really don't like that quarterback as much as I thought I did from LSU.
Look, I think Georgia's going to dominate that game from beginning to end. I think Georgia is also trying to prove, look, we are the best team in the country. I think they also know that they didn't win an SEC championship last year, by the way. They won a national championship, but they lost the SEC championship game to Alabama. So this is a new trophy for them, basically.
Yeah, I don't see Jalen Daniels having a very good game at all.
No.
I mean, if he had a bad game against us, I think he's going to be a lot worse. I mean, he just doesn't impress me throwing the ball at all.
I expect Georgia to dominate this. I'd take them and give the 17.5. Over/under?
Probably over.
I like that. All right, American Athletic Conference, UCF, Tulane. Tulane's -4, 57 over/under.
Tulane just beat them, didn't they, a couple weeks ago? Or was it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't watched Tulane play, and they're one of the best teams in the nation. I haven't watched them play.
Tulane beat Kansas State this year, by the way.
It's impressive.
Um,
Who's the quarterback for UCF?
Yeah.
That guy from Ole Miss?
yeah, Rice Plumlee.
Do you trust Malzahn?
You know, here of late, I mean, they've been playing, but they lost a game the other day that I didn't expect. I'd probably go Tulane. If I'm putting money on this, I'd probably put it on Tulane.
What's the over-under?
57.
Okay.
Mountain West Conference, Fresno State, Boise State -3 for Boise State.
God,
Boise
Boise
State
State
won 40-20. By the way, 40 State earlier in the year. I'd take Boise State.
I thought Boise State was down this year. I had no idea they were in
Well,
the
they fired
championship.
their defense. I think they're defense coordinator earlier in the year, and they're now back to playing for the championship.
Wow.
conference
Yeah, I'd
championship.
probably take Boise then. Well, Fresno has that quarterback I like, but go ahead.
Boise. Big Ten. Obviously, some implications for the playoffs. Purdue, Michigan. Michigan's -16.5, 52 over under.
Man, I like Purdue sometimes, but I'll take Michigan.
You do like Purdue a lot.
I like them.
Most weeks he likes Purdue.
Hey,
Let me tell you.
They're in the Big Ten championship game, aren't they?
Michigan.
They're in the Big
Michigan.
Ten championship game.
Michigan. All right, finished it off with ACC, Clemson,
Carolina,
UNC. UNC's +7.5.
They should probably be favored. Taking Carolina. Have you seen that DJ Ugalele? I don't like him.
Yeah.
Did you see what he threw for last game? It was like 9-19 in that loss.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there's a lot to be said.
It's about, can Clemson's defense stop Carolina's offense, or can Carolina's defense stop Clemson's offense? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Both are no, so take the over. Is that what we're saying?
Always over.
Okay. All right, playoffs. Right now, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC, in that order.
Yeah.
Who gets in?
Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and TCU.
Yeah, I think. Look, the only one of these teams might even have it. Not even if they lose, may be booted from this thing. Right? Georgia could lose and still be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're in.
They're going to win, by the way. Michigan could probably lose and still be in the playoffs. Right?
They're going to win, though.
They're going to win. TCU could probably lose at a one loss and still be in the playoffs.
Possibly, yeah, because they said their strength of schedule is so high.
So that'd be, if they lose and USC wins, then it's them and Ohio State. Then you're probably talking, I don't know. If USC loses, you got Ohio State in.
Mm-hmm.
You got an Alabama team that's threatening in there. How about it? But if Ohio State probably gets in beforehand, I mean, they're ranked ahead of them now. They're not going to play this weekend.
Georgia's undefeated.
Neither one of those two teams. They've only got one loss.
Right? There's 3 undefeated.
How about if TCU and USC both lose?
Like we said, TCU's still in.
TCU still in?
Didn't we say that?
Yeah,
TCU's still in. Their strength of schedule is tough.
They're in ahead of Alabama, 2-loss Alabama.
Who's Alabama beating this year?
Well,
Also
everybody
LSU.
except for LSU and Tennessee.
Who else did they play? That was
Aggies, obviously. That's a
big win.
It's a big win.
Well, the Aggies beat LSU, so I mean,
There you go. So
yeah,
I think Alabama's out.
Yeah,
I think Alabama's out.
I think there's 5 teams right now. And
I don't think there's any scenario in which they get
Ohio State has a little bit of a chance, and that's if.
What a blowout loss from TCU. Blowout loss from USC. Does Alabama get in?
No.
All right, like it. We'll have a next
That's
conversation.
like punishing somebody for playing an extra game. Why are you going to punish them even if
True.
That's stupid.
We'll have a review of the roster and depth charts a little bit in a couple weeks once we sort out some of those issues. Questions from the tailgate brought to you by David Coffin PLLC, Tax Controversy and Litigation Lawyers. Only Tax Controversy and Litigation Lawyers in Bryan College Station. Do any of A-Chain, Anais, A.J. Robinson, Damani, Jalen Jones come back?
Yes.
Who?
Jalen Jones.
Yes, for sure.
Who else did you say?
Damani?
No.
Rick Robinson?
No.
He should.
I agree.
He should, because his stock was this high when at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's about here.
He's like a mid-round draft pick maybe.
Come back. Maybe if they replace the offensive line.
We've seen this happen to a lot of Aggies last year.
Yeah. AJ.
Gone.
Yeah.
They've
got him rated as the top safety coming out. He needs to go.
It's like, I mean, if your stock's that high, you got to go.
Anais?
Maybe. I'm going to say 50-50 on him.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his draft status? Do you think he's going to get drafted high?
Late round.
I mean, he's probably going – I think he has a chance to come back, different offensive coordinators, show out, have a good season.
I think that's a big question, right? Who's calling the plays? And look, Anias is an Aggie, man. He just graduated, by the way.
I feel stronger about Anias coming back than I do A-Chain. That's my thoughts.
If I'm A-Chain, I'd probably go. But he also runs track. I think that has an influence on him. I think they want him to get his degree, finish up. So depending on where he stands,
I think being a running back,
you should go.
Yeah, because you're expected to see the NFL. The hits you take are going to be, you got to go.
Okay. Any names, positions in the transfer portal you want the Aggies to go get?
Any linebacker or maybe offensive lineman that's worth a shit?
I'd say specifically interior offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say specifically linebackers. Yeah, obviously, if you can get some of those guys, you can go target them. You know, if you find an excellent player somewhere else, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're always looking at great talent, right? If you get the talent,
you may need depth at quarterback depending on who leaves.
Chemistry is a big thing. I think it was a big deal with our team this year.
For sure.
But you have so much talent in the team, and I don't think Jimbo managed it well at all.
Right.
I mean, look what happened. But
obviously, who leaves that can affect this question too.
I mean,
right?
Who are your leaders right now?
If A-Chain goes, we're going to need some depth at running back. Maybe I got Trey Sanders from Alabama.
We just need some people to be leaders. We need Aggie leaders. But go ahead.
All right. Well, Gig 'em Aggies, AP, Corey from the tailgate. See y'all soon.